Due diligence, taking responsible steps taken by a person to avoid committing a tort or an offense. Tort is a fancy word for crime, by the way. And in my last video, I committed an awful crime. Someone tweeted at me saying that they were glad I was encouraging people that were curious about the messages to play Ninja Gaiden, which I somehow implied was a better game. Now, I know I'm not a great person and all, but I'm not a fucking war criminal. Have you played Ninja Gaiden? It's a combination of wire fu movies and Hitler. These games are evil. They're designed to engender a bitter hatred of the Japanese and the American youth before it was too late. On the spectrum of too hard or too easy, with that perfect stimulating sweet spot in the middle, Ninja Gaiden is all the way up here. It's not even on this horizontal chart because it's a fucking idiot. The point I was trying to make is that genres are bad and you should play only one game ever. Apparently. God, that was so fucking stupid. Someone else also tweeted at me saying that I'm way too self-critical. To that I say, if I'm not going to hate myself, who will? But anyway, I have a confession to make. I have no fucking patience. If a game doesn't grip me right off the bat, I just start thinking of what rude things I could say to fill out an entire video until I stop. It's a really bad habit, and this isn't the first time that it's gotten me into a lot of trouble. So, I did my due diligence. I actually went back, and I actually finished the messenger. So now I can actually give a proper informed opinion about the messenger. Which brings us to the question, was I too harsh on the messenger? Well, seeing as I did kind of imply that it was made for people that enjoy watching their wife fuck other men, the answer should be pretty self-evident. No! This game is fucking silly sauce! I stand by everything I said in that video! Except for the whole Ninja Gaiden stuff. That was really dumb. Don't play Ninja Gaiden. Play Bobsy the Bloody Strike Back or something, whatever.
Love this new ability!
My only regret is that I really didn't go into any of the points I brought up. I just kind of said them, and that was that. Which is silly! That's the pyrocynical method of analytics. Don't do that. Suck my dick and balls? So another thing I regret is saying that this game is bad. If any of the developers are watching this, I sincerely apologize for saying that. Clearly a lot of passion and effort went into this game. It's just that there's a lot of things that infuriate me and could be better. You cunt. I admit that this game has many great ideas that, if properly fleshed out and used properly, could make for a great game. What I say not with the intention of sabotaging the developer's career, but with the hope that they listen and take on board what I have to say, and the hope that they can make a better product. Now, I had 3 major criticisms of this game. The music hurts, the gameplay is average, and the boss fights suck a fat one. First off, the music. Now, I am not Anthony Wartano. I'm not an expert. I only discovered what a Wu-Tang is the other day, so you should take what I have to say with an atom of salt. I'm not even really a fan of chip tunes, even on a good day. Shovel Knight, Ace Attorney, yeah, that's the spice, but in general, But music is as subjective as I am a cunt, and there's a minor point in general, so dismiss it, I don't care. Like the music, don't like the music, it doesn't matter, whatever. Still sounds like a farting chipmunk. Second, the gameplay is average. Now there's a lot to unpack here, so let's break down the individual gameplay elements, shall we? Let's start off with the mechanic the developers appear to be most proudest of, because it's showcased and tutorialized right at the start of the game. Doing a double jump whenever you hit a thing in the air, it just feels kind of clunky and unnatural to hit jump, then hit attack, then hit jump again. It's really unintuitive. I got through most of the game just by mashing both buttons simultaneously. It doesn't really work for me. Similar mechanics have been implemented better in better games, like Bubsy, the Bloody Strike Back. Next, Shurikens, which is a I don't want to deal with this, go away button. It's not really implemented much. at all. I only ever really used it when I remembered it existed. I feel like it could have been taken advantage of more. Which is surprising because it's a fairly simple mechanic. I feel like a lot of puzzles could have benefited from it being used. Next, wall climbing. A perfectly fine mechanic. It's been tried and tested in many great games like Bubsy, The Woolly Strike Back, and it works just as well here as it does in them, and it works pretty well, particularly when it synergizes with the rest of the gameplay elements. I really like the ice falling bit. That was quite clever. Next, air gliding. Again, a perfectly fine mechanic. Kinda trivializes some of the platforming a smidge. And the down slash attack, I feel like you should have gotten that right out of the gate rather than having to upgrade it. But that's aside, again, synergizes well. Everything's good in the world. Also in Bubsy, The Woolly Strike Back. Fantastic. Next is the grappling hook, which... Wait, hang on a second.
Oh my God! Was that the brave
Why wasn't I made aware of this? Grappling hook isn't something you just skip over here, Sam. Grapple, hook, make everything perfect. Particularly in this game, it's not just well implemented, it's fucking outstanding. And the levels that focus on using the grappling hook in combination with everything else is where the game fucking shines. It is so tight and satisfying to use. Why didn't I get this from the start? It took me around about an hour to unlock it, which is a really weird length of time. It's way too early to really feel like a Metroidvania type thing that opens up new possibilities of exploration, seeing as you get it the second that an obstacle is presented that is necessary. But also, it's almost an entire hour of you not having a grappling hook, which is unacceptable. Most of these abilities really should have just been given to you at the start. It didn't really feel like the game benefited from hiding these at all. Let's say, for example, the game gave you the wingsuit right off the bat, and you came across the rising air current. Now, of course, any of you out there with minimum 3 brain cells could put 2 and 2 together to make 5 and put the wingsuit with rising air current to make going up. Thus, the game would respect your sense of independence and also keep a nice red-hot pace going. Some of you may have your concerns that this would affect the narrative and lead to less dialogue with the funny hooded people, and I understand your concerns. However, I feel that this would make a lot more sense from a narrative standpoint. I really like the idea of you being the prophetic chosen one, not because the game just said you are, but because you just happen to be the one cunt that showed up with all the tools for the job. That's really funny to me. Also, did I mention the funny hooded guys? I like the funny hooded guys. They're funny. I feel like they're leaning a little too hard on the self-aware meta humor, but hey, it's a Devolver Digital game. It would feel empty without it. Also, later on, you get the ability to run on water, and I actually can't think of another platform that you can do that in. So maybe the Bible. It's pretty fun, though, even though you only use it, like, twice, because you unlock it so late in the game. Yeah, cracking Metroidvania you got there, lads. Most certainly didn't feel like it was just there to pad out the second act with pointless backtracking. This is a sarcastic statement. Laugh at it, please. You may be thinking, hey, you said the gameplay's just average, but now you're just being kind of confusing. What's the game here, sports? Listen, everything I just listed in the right scenario is fantastic. The level design doesn't quite use into its full potential, particularly in the earlier sections. I feel like there's a few things that could have been added that take advantage of the abilities that you get later in the game, but whatever. It's overall pretty damn good. However, there is one last mechanic that I've yet to mention, and it is also the most distinct, most important mechanic of the entire game, and it is such a dickload of cunt that it drags down this entire game and fills me with angerous fury and furious anger. Later on in the game, you get the ability to travel back and forth in time to the past and present versions of the level. People who have played this game are probably shouting at me, saying that this is a massive spoiler. You can stop saying that now, seeing as I've already said it. Consume my entire minge. I don't fucking care. If it's any consolation, I shan't give away any of the story beats that this mechanic entails, because they're actually pretty okay and aren't too badly handled. Oh, except at the very end, where the hooded people give you your motivation for doing what you're doing right before you're about to beat the final boss. Yeah, that's dumb, stupid. No, I have my own personal philosophy. Shit doesn't spoil, and I vehemently despise how this mechanic is implemented, even though it's the game's most important and unique selling point. I mean, except for the fact that you're a, feudal Japanese warrior who has to go back to the past, Your name's probably Jack. Because the only way it's ever functionally implemented is either you're going down a linear pathway until you've reached the blue circle. Okay, you've reached the blue circle. Now you can keep going down this linear pathway. Or there is a thing you need to pick up or get past, but you're in the wrong timeline, so you need to backtrack all the way through the level so you can get to a blue circle, then go all the way back so you can get past the thing or pick up the thing. And that is 99% of how this mechanic is used, and I fucking hate it. This isn't a puzzle. This isn't engaging. It's barely even fucking content. It's just padding. It's very nice looking padding, but padding loses all of its charm once you start groping it. If I wanted to waste my time on overly complicated bullshit, I'd get a philosophy major. The nicest thing I could possibly say about it is that I really like the attention to detail to the art style change, where it's retro SNES era graphics when you're in the past and modernized pixel graphics when you're in the future. That's really clever, even though it's making me say the phrase modernized pixel graphics. I don't know what it is, but that phrase fills me with irrational hatred. However, due diligence, there is one other means of which this mechanic is implemented with fireflies, that when you hit them, they create windows to the opposite timeline. It's quite clever, it's just that it's never really used much. It's all silly sauce. Let's compare the Messenger to a game that actually does the time manipulation thing right. Titanfall 2. You see, Titanfall 2 has more fiber, whereas Messenger has more vitamins and nutrients. But seriously, in Titanfall 2, there's a very similar mechanic to this, but instead of fucking around with circles and windows, you just press a button and boop, you're in the past. Boop, you're in the present. Boop, it's fucking genius! You're exploring a ruined facility while simultaneously infiltrating that facility while it was still operational. How fucking brilliant is that? You go around doors by going into the future, where doors have been made illegal, but you can go into the past to get around fires because fire hasn't been invented yet. Or you can use it in firefights. Knock knock, who's there? Doctor Who. Damn straight, fucker! You're in a firefight in both timelines, and you have to juggle them both until you get to the mech, where you time travel with the mech. Why does no one play these games? I hate you! I'm bringing this up because I have a proposition to make. The concept of switching between timelines from set points is way too needlessly restricting, particularly in a two-dimensional space. Instead, I believe you should be able to switch between timelines with a simple button press on the fly. This would fix every problem I have with how the mechanic is implemented and would get rid of so much wasted time and backtracking, and could open up way more creative possibilities. Maybe a bullet hell, but you have to switch between timelines to avoid bullets, or slashing enemies in the past that would create scars in the future that could be used as weak points. Or you shoot a bow and arrow at a wall in the past, you switch to the future where it would grow into a tree branch that you could jump on. Or puzzles where you plant seedlings in the ground where they grow into platforms, or you drop a sausage roll that grows into mold that creates bounce pads. Or you have the timeline changes have an impact on the enemies besides just aesthetic. So in the future, you have enemies with guns and lightsabers, but boop, now they're stuck with sticks and slingshot suckers. You try and fight a karate master in the future, and he's like, come back in 10 years. But then you go to the past, where he's the guy that needs to come back in 10 years. Or you buy a Bitcoin in the past, then you switch to the future, where you still have no money. Can I just write the sequel, please? I'm clearly a genius. Wait. You fight a guy that only has his left arm, but then you switch to the future, where he lost the arm he only had, but he found the line that he lost, and I'm clearly an idiot. I should stop talking. But at least I'm trying, you know? Time travel is such an interesting scenario that you can play around with and can be used to be implemented in so many interesting ways.
And not at all oversaturated.
There are so many just missed opportunities here. Particularly this moth. Fuck this moth. What is this? How does creating an invisible pollen platform in the past somehow make a platform in the future? Why? Yeah, changing timelines in this Mario Tennis bit looks cool, but it's functionally pointless. Which brings me to my third and final point. The bosses suck the fattest and girthiest pussy. You sit around dodging a few pot shots until the game lets you get a few hits in. It's clunky, it's unnatural, it's how the boss fights in Bubsy's Woolly World do it, and I fucking hate it. I hate being forced to take a passive role in boss encounters. It feels less of a game and more like I'm operating an assembly line. This fight was alright to test you out on the mechanics that you'd learned thus far. It kept you on your toes while still keeping an eye out for weaknesses and openings. Oh, it's not perfect, it's kind of slow, and this attack's a little unpredictable, but it's still better than the fucking moth. You beat it by standing completely still! Why? Allow me to go a little deeper into this with my favorite boss fight in the game. These two handsome chaps. There's plenty of character, they have a fun dynamic, it's a great setup. How do they fuck it up? Well, first of all, this is the boss you encounter just after you get the grappling hook, and at no point is this mechanic at all taken advantage of, which is dumb. Boss fights should be an opportunity for the game developer to tap into the full potential of the game's mechanics, and not tapping into the potential of the grappling hook should mean death, lad. Maybe if you use the grappling hook to counter the boulder attack or disrupt a bigger boulder attack. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. Second, even though the differences between 2020 vision over here are clearly outlined, it feels ultimately, it means nothing. It feels really inconsistent. Red lad is about the upper body strength and the green boy has the legs. But their attacks are ultimately kind of interchangeable. Why are you charging at me? I feel like running at people would be more the other guy's shtick. Yeah, a towel flick. Proper cheeky, but that's an arm-based attack. Why? Shouldn't the other guy be doing that? I want to see that Hank Hill arse, boy. I don't even think this guy has a single kicking attack. Shouldn't he have a few kicking attacks, seeing as, you know, it just feels like you're not taking advantage of everything you have available to you. And that is the crux of everything I've been saying about this game. There are so many great ideas being presented here. Not particularly original ideas, but that's fucking irrelevant. That doesn't fucking matter. Who gives a Jiminy fuck? If you can make something and you can make it good, that's all that fucking matters, dicknut. With a bit of cleverness and creativity behind the wheel, these ideas can be used to create something fucking spectacular. But for me, right now, with this game, it feels like there's just too much wasted potential here that could be molded into something greater. I'm just not impressed. I don't enjoy playing what I have been given here. And also, you ripped off Bubsy the Woolly Strike Back.
How could you?
Bubsy is coming.
Oh, fuck, that was a long video. I hated making that. Also, this video is brought to you by Humble Bundle, where you get lots of, yeah, I think they finally have some cool shit for one. You can get the overwhelmingly positive bundle. What a sensibly named thing. Clear Throne, Momodora, Lisa, Soma, $7. That's actually quite reasonably tight priced. Fuck. Or you can get the monthly. Monthly's actually pretty tight. They got fucking me fucking bugger! There's also other games for Hollow Knight's me fucking spice, mate. Also, there's a store if you pay for things. If you're interested in that. But yeah, that was the video. That was the sponsor. Here's the Patreons. They're cool guys. They have names. I miss having my name. Too bad they took my name. I want it back. Filled with righteous indignation, I will cross the ends of the earth to reclaim what is rightfully mine, you bastards!